Melissa stood on the front porch of her childhood home in Providence, Rhode Island, clutching a thin cashmere scarf like it could protect her from the freezing wind or from everything churning inside her. The house looked smaller than she remembered. Maybe because she'd grown, or maybe because now she knew. This house didn't hold warmth or comfort. It held pressure, expectations, judgment. She hadn't been back in nearly 2 years. Not since her dad died and her mom, Diana, was left alone. Melissa had started pulling away. Not all at once. At first she called every day, then once a week. Then, when she had the energy, when she wasn't bracing herself for that sharp tone, the guilt trips, "Your father would have understood, you don't." She opened the door. The house greeted her with the scent of cinnamon, polished wood, and something else, sharp and ghostly, like the memory of childhood. Her mother sat in the living room in the same chair as always, holding a cup of green tea, dressed perfectly, like she was attending a dinner party instead of just sitting at home. Her eyes immediately landed on Melissa's scarf. "You look good in burgundy," she said, "but maybe something lighter would suit you better. That shade makes your skin look tired." "Hi, Mom," Melissa replied, keeping her voice neutral, trying not to show the sting. Diana didn't get up. No hug, just a nod toward the couch. "Sit. We need to talk. We need to talk." Those 4 words always meant one thing. You messed up, and I'm here to fix it. Melissa sat down. She was dressed simply, dark jeans, a turtleneck sweater, her hair pulled into a bun, no earrings, no makeup. She knew her mom would clock that instantly, and disapprove. "What's going on?" she asked, though she already knew. "I saw your pictures on Instagram with him." Him. His name was Zach. He was an interior designer, sweet, thoughtful, with a soft voice and a bit of scruff. Too many tattoos, in Diana's opinion, and not nearly enough ambition. The fact that he never finished college was, for Melissa's mom, basically a death sentence. "I'm a grown woman, Mom. I'm 29. I can date whoever I want." "You can. But should you?" Diana sipped her tea and looked at her daughter over the rim, her voice calm, cold. That was her talent, hurting with precision, not volume, like a surgeon. Clean cuts, no blood. "You're asking if I should be with someone who makes me happy?" "I'm asking if you're betraying yourself by settling for comfort instead of reaching for your potential." Melissa clenched her fists. There it was, again. Not love, not acceptance, just the plan. The plan her mom had written for her back when she was 10. Private school, full ride to college, master's degree, marry a doctor or a lawyer, 2 kids by 35, house in the suburbs. "Mom," Melissa said quietly, "I didn't come here to argue. I came because you said you weren't doing well. You said you were lonely. That you missed me. I do miss you. The real you. Not the version of you living in Brooklyn with some tattooed designer throwing away everything I taught you." Melissa felt her hands start to tremble. She pressed her palms together like she did in therapy, like she was learning to stay grounded, to stay calm. "Maybe it's not me you miss. Maybe it's the control." Diana leaned back, eyes wide. Whether from shock or anger, Melissa couldn't tell. The silence stretched thick between them. "How can you say that? I'm your mother." "Exactly, my mother. Not my boss, not my dictator." For the first time in her life, Melissa held her mother's gaze and didn't look away. Not out of fear, not guilt, not duty, but because she finally understood. Being a daughter didn't mean being obedient. "I'm not your project, Mom. I'm a person. With my own wants, with love you don't approve of. With choices you wouldn't make, but they're mine." Diana stood up and placed her teacup on the tray like the scene was over. She walked to the window, pulled back the curtain, and stared out at the frozen garden. "One day you'll understand," she said quietly, "that love means not letting someone ruin their life." "And one day," Melissa replied, "you'll understand that real love means letting someone live it." Diana didn't turn around. Melissa stood, walked to the door. She didn't slam it, didn't yell, she just left. But this time, it changed her. Behind her was the house that had always felt like a cage. Ahead was a city where Zach was waiting, where no one told her how to live, where she could finally breathe. And that's when her real journey began, the journey to freedom. "She just can't let go. She just can't let go," Zach said as he folded the towels with quiet precision on the bathroom shelf. Melissa sat on the edge of the bed, watching him. There was something soothing about the way he moved, like he wasn't just folding laundry, but gently untangling the fallout from her conversation with her mom. She doesn't know how to love any other way, Melissa said, eyes on the Brooklyn skyline, dusk settling in. Only like this, through control, through expectations, through checklists. Zach turned around. His eyes, warm amber like good bourbon, landed on her face. "And do you?" he asked. She let out a half laugh. "No joy in it. I'm learning, every day, especially since you." He walked over, sat beside her, took her hand. She leaned into his shoulder, finally relaxing, for the first time in 24 hours. It had been 3 days since she got back from Providence. In that time she'd picked up the phone more than once to call her mom, but never hit dial. Diana hadn't called either, and that was weird. Usually after every fight, the text storm would roll in, sarcasm, guilt trips, even desperation. But this time, radio silence. Melissa knew this wasn't peace. It was the quiet before the next storm. On the 4th day, a letter arrived, an actual paper letter. Her mom's handwriting was flawless, as always, neat, almost typed. "Melissa, I'm not going to scold you. That clearly doesn't work, but I want you to think. What comes next? In 5 years? In 10? Are you sure the person beside you can be your anchor? Someone who can offer your children a real future? I'm not interfering. I'm just asking you to reflect. With love, Mom." Melissa read it 3 times, didn't cry once. But something clenched inside her, not because of the words, but because of the tone, like she was 17 again, being calmly told why her dreams didn't matter. That night, she texted her Aunt Carol. "Hey, can we talk? I need to breathe and hear a sane voice." Carol was her dad's sister, lived up in Vermont, worked as a school librarian, and was the kind of adult who never preached happiness like it was a formula. Just warm blankets, cherry pie, and stories about how to stay true to yourself, even if that made other people uncomfortable. They spoke the next morning. "Hey, sweet pea," Carol said, voice wrapped in velvet. "You got the letter?" "Yeah, I want to toss it, but I can't. Because part of you still hopes she'll change." "Yeah." Carol sighed. "Look, I loved your mom. We grew up under the same roof, but she's always been the type to set boundaries for everyone else and bulldoze right through theirs." Melissa didn't say anything. "Your dad," Carol went on, "he was your shield. He saw her for who she was, but he saw you too. After he passed, you got left on the front line alone, and now you're stuck deciding, move forward or stay in the trench. I'm scared that if I move forward, I'll lose her forever. And if you stay," Carol said gently, "you'll lose yourself." The words hit hard, and in that moment, Melissa understood. This wasn't a fight with her mother. This was a fight between loyalty and freedom. That evening, she and Zach were sitting in their favorite coffee shop. It was their little Friday ritual, 2 cappuccinos and 1 chocolate chip cookie split down the middle. Their quiet kind of us. "You know," Melissa said, stirring her drink, "my mom has this one line she's been saying forever, but what will people think?" Zach snorted. "You ever stop to ask, who the hell are these people?" She laughed, really laughed, and it felt like exhaling something heavy. "No, because I always knew it didn't matter. What mattered was looking perfect. No shame, no flaws, even if you were drowning inside." He took her hand, and now, she looked at him, then out the window, smile soft. "Now I think it's time to ask myself, what do I think?" Saturday started like any other. Oat milk coffee, a slow shower, her indie morning playlist, sandals on bare feet. Spring in New York always had a way of making things feel like a fresh start. But inside, Melissa was a mess. Her mom's letter, the talk with Aunt Carol, and that crushing silence, it all sat heavy on her chest like weights she couldn't shake. She was at the kitchen table with her laptop and a half-cold cup of coffee. Zach was still asleep. For the first time in forever, she had a Saturday with nothing on the calendar. No meetings, no last-minute edits on some marketing deck. But she couldn't relax. Something in her gut was pushing her to move. You either live your life, or you let someone else live it for you. Carol's voice again, stuck in her head. Her mom lived like every step was a PR campaign. Every choice Melissa made was somehow a stain on the family name back in Providence, like there was a town hall somewhere keeping a sin list with her name on top. She stood up fast, grabbed her bag, shoes on, no plan, no map. Just one clear thing. This wasn't running away. This was running towards something. 40 minutes later, she was standing in front of Benson and Gray, the law firm her mom had tried to push her into 5 years ago. Some glorified junior assistant to the assistant role. Melissa said no, took a startup marketing gig instead. Her mom didn't talk to her for 2 weeks. Across the street was the therapy clinic where Melissa had spent 6 months last year. That's where she'd said out loud for the first time, "My mom controlled every choice I made, even the ones that looked like love." That was the moment she realized her life didn't actually belong to her. But today, it was time to take it back. She pulled out her phone, called her mom. Third ring. Pick up. "Hello? Hey mom, do you have a minute?" "Melissa, of course. Is something wrong?" "No, actually, I just wanted to tell you something important." "I'm listening." She took a breath. "Zach and I are moving to Park Slope. We found a 2-bedroom. It's full of light and the windows look out over the park. And this was my decision. I didn't ask for permission because I don't need it anymore." A pause. Thick. Loaded. "You want me to say congratulations?" "No, I want you to accept it. And if you can't, that's on you. But I'm done living your version of my life." Her mom's voice turned sharp. "And you really think this Zach guy is a solid partner? No degree, just floating around with his little art projects? You're serious?" "I am. Because with him, I'm me, not a showroom version of who I'm supposed to be." Silence. Melissa could hear her mom breathing harder. "You don't get it," her mom finally said. "In this world, a woman has to stay ahead of the game. Everything I did, it was to protect you." "Maybe you did," Melissa said, steady now. "But you also protected me from life, from love, from myself. I'm not blaming you. I'm just saying, I've grown up, and I'm choosing my path now." "Well then, good luck," Diana said flatly, "and don't come crying when it all falls apart." Click. Melissa stood there, holding the phone like it had turned to stone. And then, she breathed. It wasn't about approval, it was about freedom. She didn't cry, she smiled. For real. Maybe for the first time in years. That night, she and Zach sat on the floor of their new apartment, surrounded by unpacked boxes. The windows were wide open, curtains blowing in the breeze. They were eating Thai food out of takeout containers, vinyl spinning in the background. "I thought I'd be scared," she said softly. "But I'm not. I feel calm." Zach leaned his elbow on her knee. "That's 'cause you finally chose you." She looked at him and saw herself in his eyes. Not filtered, not resized to fit someone else's comfort. Just real. "Yeah," she said, "and I'm not going back." It'd been a week since Melissa hung up the phone. Life in the new apartment was slowly taking shape. Books found their shelves, a cozy rug covered the hardwood floor, and the coffee table, handmade by Zach from old wooden planks, sat proudly in the center. They had dinners out on the balcony, music playing in the background, and for the first time, their talks about the future weren't whispered. They were solid. Confident. Real. But the world doesn't like it when you walk away without consequences. Sunday, 9:42 a.m. Melissa had just come back from her run when her phone buzzed. A Facebook notification. "You've been tagged in a photo." She tapped the screen. The image loaded. A 16-year-old Melissa in her prom dress. Next to her, Diana. The caption read, "Back when my daughter still valued her roots and appreciated family. We're proud of our kids, even when they've lost their way." Over 100 likes. Comments from neighbors, old classmates, family friends. "She'll come around. You're such a great mom. Kids don't always get it right away. This phase will pass. They all go through it." Melissa felt her heart start to pound. This wasn't just some passive-aggressive guilt trip. This was war. A public hit piece wrapped in nostalgia and martyrdom. Zach walked in, coffee in hand, phone already in the other. "You saw it?" "Yeah," she said quietly. "Subtle, huh?" "This is gross, Mel. She's painting you as some ungrateful, lost little girl." Melissa sat down and scrolled through the comments. Dozens of strangers talking about her like they knew anything. Just a picture. A cropped-out moment from a time when she didn't even know how to say no yet. Later that day, Aunt Carol called. "Hey, sweetheart, I'm guessing you've seen the post. Just hear me out." "She crossed a line," Melissa said flatly. "She did, but that means you've actually broken free. People who lose control, they make noise. It hurts. Not because I think she's right. It hurts because she's my mom, and now she's using my childhood as a weapon." Carol sighed. "She doesn't know how to exist without power. For her, love means control. Losing that feels like betrayal. So what do I do? Stay quiet? Fight back? Don't defend yourself. Just speak your truth. Not to her, to you. And if others need to hear it too, that's okay." The next morning, Melissa opened LinkedIn. She had a message, an invite to lunch from her old boss, Joanna Mace, head of marketing at a major publishing company. They hadn't spoken in ages, but Joanna had once been a mentor. Heard you left Grixley and you're working on your own stuff now? Let's catch up. They met in Midtown, in a trendy open kitchen restaurant. Joanna, sharp and commanding in her 50s, always knew how to own a room. They talked shop, market trends, new campaigns, and toward the end, Joanna casually brought it up. You know, your mom reached out to me a couple months ago, she said, sipping her wine. Pitched you as a candidate for some women's nonprofit advisory board. Melissa froze. What? She said you were creative, driven, but you needed structure. I remember thinking, that doesn't sound like the Melissa I knew. She never even asked me, Melissa muttered. Nope, just wanted to guide you. I passed. Felt like you were in a different space now, freer. And right there, that cocktail of rage, shame, and clarity rose up in Melissa like a tidal wave. She didn't want to disappear. She wanted to speak. That evening, she wrote a post. Being the daughter of a strong woman isn't always a blessing, especially when her strength is rooted in control, not acceptance. I'm grateful for many things my mother gave me, but I'm no longer living by her script. I'm not lost. I found myself, and maybe that doesn't fit Providence norms or Instagram filters, but I'm choosing my life. No permission needed. She hit post. By morning, it had 400 likes. Messages poured in from coworkers, friends, even strangers. Thank you. This hit home. It's like you said what I've been thinking for years. Proud of you. For the first time, Melissa didn't feel alone. She wasn't just Diana's daughter anymore. She was her own person. That night, her mother texted, "Beautiful words, but truth isn't measured in likes. I'll be here when you realize that." Melissa didn't reply. She set the phone down and walked to the window. Outside, the city buzzed. Laughter, car horns, pizza in the air, and she was part of it now. "I hear you, Mom," she whispered. "But I'm done letting you speak for me." 3 weeks had passed since Melissa's raw, no-filter post. She hadn't heard a word from her mom since. No texts, no guilt trips, no sudden olive branches, just silence, tight as a wire, but not the peaceful kind. The kind that comes right before a storm. And yeah, the storm came. Saturday morning, just as she and Zach were getting ready to head out for paint, the doorbell rang. He looked at her, eyebrows raised. She shrugged and walked over. There she was, Diana Spencer, hair perfect, trench coat pristine, ivory leather bag like she walked out of a catalog. She didn't just show up, she made an entrance. Her eyes, ice cold. Her gaze swept the apartment in 3 seconds flat before she spoke. "I'm in the city on business. Figured I should stop by. I am your mother, after all." Melissa nodded and let her in. Zach kissed her on the temple and disappeared into the other room. They sat down at the kitchen table. Diana pulled a folder from her bag. "These are the papers you didn't want to discuss. Power of attorney, estate stuff, insurance." She slid them over. "It doesn't matter what you think right now. I'm still your mother. I'm thinking long term." Melissa didn't touch them, just looked her straight in the eye. "You didn't come here for paperwork, so let's cut the crap. Why are you really here?" Diana dropped her eyes, said nothing for a while. "You humiliated me," she finally said. "I told the truth, my truth. You twisted everything. You made me out to be a villain. I just stopped hiding." And then, Diana snapped. For the first time, no passive-aggressive digs, no cryptic comments, no guilt-tripping through others. She raised her voice. "Everything I did was for you, so you'd be safe, so you'd be respected, so people would accept you. And you walk away from it all like it's something to be proud of. You have no idea what it was like for me. Raising you alone, no support, being talked about like I was nothing." For the first time, Melissa heard the pain, real pain. But underneath it, still, control. "I get it. You went through hell, and I respect that, but I'm not here to be a sequel to your trauma." Diana froze. "What did you just say?" "I said I don't owe it to you to repeat your story, and I sure as hell don't owe you my suffering so you can sleep at night. You're ungrateful." "No, I'm thankful, but I'm not obligated." Silence hung heavy between them, thick, final. Then Diana stood up, left the papers on the table. "I'm leaving," she said, "maybe for good." "That's your call," Melissa replied quietly. "I'm done living afraid you'll walk away." She walked her mom to the door. No hugs, no pleading, just calm. When the door clicked shut, Zach stood up from the couch. "You okay?" Melissa nodded, dropped to the floor. He sat down beside her. I thought this would be some kind of breakthrough, that she'd cry, I'd cry, we'd hug, but nope, different scene. Are you disappointed? She thought for a second, looked out the window. Spring was slipping into summer, trees thick with leaves, kids laughing in the yard, music drifting in from somewhere. No, she said, I'm free. Later that night, she lit a few candles out on the balcony. In her lap, an old notebook, yellowed pages curling at the edges. Her teenage handwriting filled the margins. Dreams, poems, quiet little rebellions. One page held a line, scrawled at 16, "One day I'll leave, not to run away, but to find myself." She smiled. Zach came out with 2 mugs of tea, sat beside her. They didn't speak, just watched the Brooklyn lights glow against the night sky. You know, she said, being yourself hurts, but it's the realest kind of pain. He took her hand. And it's yours. No one else gets to rewrite it. Epilogue. 6 months later, Melissa launched a podcast called No Permission, a space for women who've broken free from parental or cultural pressure. The first episode, her own story. It hit over 50,000 streams. Diana never reached out again. And Melissa knew, if reconciliation ever came, it'd be on level ground. No strings. No emotional ransom. And if it didn't, she'd still crossed her line. With grace, with guts, on her own damn terms.